I'll be showing a video basically, which runs almost 13 minutes, just as a way of, let's just open this. Okay, this is open it all the way. You know, let's just see if it opens all the way. Okay, quick background. Player is an ongoing project involving me, programmers, and a series of architects. It opened in Helsinki, some fragments of it in a State Department presentation in July, which was focused on toxic media, filled with many representatives from the Baltics discussing Ukraine, the invasion, and this was in reference to that. A larger presentation was made in Rosario, Argentina with Gina about 3 weeks ago. Multiple presentations are scheduled in the UK at about 4 or 5 universities and other venues in November. So that's the basic element. I'm wondering why this isn't, let's see if this entire screen plays now. Let's see how we get this. Why it doesn't play, maybe I have to open it up another way. Maybe I'll just do it like this then. Okay. Can I just play it like that? I'll just play it like this.
I am from Oriel, a Russian city close to the Ukraine border. In 2015, I left Oriel for St. Petersburg to study programming. Many of the young Russian programmers found work at the Internet Research Agency. The Internet Research Agency was founded by Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the mercenary group PMC Wagner. Yevgeny Prigozhin recently fell from the sky. The Internet Research Agency was a troll factory. It engaged in online propaganda and influence operations on behalf of Russian businesses and political interests. In December 2015, it promoted for the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States. I returned to Oriol in 2016, where I found permanent employment as a programmer. Shortly after the February 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, I left for Georgia, and from Georgia I came to Argentina. I continue to work here in Argentina as a programmer. Last year, I began to collaborate with Guzzardo on The Player on the Quantum Stage. The player and quantum stage is many things, and one of them is a code smell story. The expression code smell among programmers refers to any symptom in the source code that indicates a deeper problem. Code smells are usually not bugs. The stench is not technically incorrect and doesn't currently prevent the program from functioning. Instead, this wafting reek indicates a design weakness that increases the risk of bugs or failures in the future. This olfactory metaphor, the swill of gases that arise from rot and decay, underpins much of my work with Paul. Paul, decades of work as a lawyer and artist, chronicles the generation of decadence and the loss of imagination among the Progovites as the arts in the United States. Sadly, this cultural code smell has contributed to that tragedy that has fallen on me and my beloved family.
Okay, and then let me move to the next one. Let's go here. Before I start this one, this is a 12-minute avatar-based video. It has been broken up in half because this opening half is being worked on by a series of architects for some presentations, and the video is inserted into archival drawings of the River Rouge industrial complex. For those of you who know Brave New World and have some background, River Rouge was the birth of the Model T and the system which we are living with right now. Let's start it. I always like to increase the visuals. We'll just play it like this.
These are the sounds of the brave new world, of the test tube and decant, of hissing injectors and gurgling blood supply. The year is AF 632, 632 years after fall. We are inside the London Hatchery and Conditioning Centre. This is the fertilizing room.
What you just heard is what I recorded in 1956. It was for the CBS radio workshop broadcast of my novel Brave New World. The broadcast featured me, Aldous Huxley, as the narrator. Brave New World is set in the year AF 632, 600 years after Henry Ford introduced his auto assembly line and his Model T. In my novel, science and efficiency reign supreme. Brave New World is a world that deifies Henry Ford as our Lord Ford.
Chronology of men and machines. (1937), a Titan stuns bloody Walter Luther. The Titan was Henry Ford. Walter is one of three brothers, Walter, Victor, and Roy. The barbarity happened as the brothers were struggling to organize Henry Ford's workers into a labor union. 4 years later, the brothers succeeded, and Henry Ford signed a contract with United Automobile Workers of America, a labor confederacy representing Ford's 100,000 employees.
Citizens in my dystopian fiction are produced artificially, conditioned to belong to specific castes, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, or epsilon, and taught through hypnopedia sleep learning methods. Themes of individuality, freedom, and the dehumanizing effects of a controlled, pleasure-driven culture are explored in this hellscape story of mine. I trace my novel to another novel, and to another man. The man was Samuel Butler, and the novel was Erewhon. Erewhon is an anagram. The word Erewhon is nowhere spelled backwards.
A passage from nowhere follows. There is no hope that the machines will use us kindly, for their existence will be in a great measure dependent upon ours. They will rule us with a rod of iron, but they will not eat us. They will not only require our services in the reproduction and education of their young, but also in waiting upon them as servants, in gathering food for them and feeding them, in restoring them to health when they are sick, and in either burying their dead or working up their deceased members into new forms of mechanical existence.
Chronology of men and machines. 1937, the year the Titan thugs bloodied Walter Luther. Another Titan, Alan Turing, the father of modern computer science, gave us an algorithm for an artificial intelligent mind. In 1998, the son of a quantum field theory physicist writes a book.
The title of his book was Darwin Among the Machines, The Evolution of Global Intelligence. In his book, Freeman Dyson's son George describes a clash, a decades-long brawl, between Samuel Butler, Charles Darwin, and another man. That other man, the third man in the fracas, was my grandfather Thomas Henry Huxley. Thomas Henry C.H. Huxley is ever known as Charles Darwin's bulldog, for his unceasing advocacy of Darwin's theory of evolution. It is his badge. It is a wingman's due.
I'll go to the next one. Let's see. Let's see if we can open this up with so. Yeah, a slideshow looking at. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Played from current. Yeah. Is it playing? Okay.
It is his badge. It is a wingman.
So this is the original piece, not set within the architectural setting we're working with. It continues for 4 or 5 minutes.
In his 1997 book about evolving canny gadgets nuts, George Dyson seizes the eccentric guide Samuel Butler to chart a wet lattice network and a machine mind crisscross. But this guide is no virgin. Dyson's Victorian scout doesn't show up in a forest savage, rusty stern, squeezed between heaven and hell, but in a brawl in a ring without guardrail. The ring is Britain. The brawl is with Charles Darwin. And this fracas is handled, managed, so to speak, by my grandfather. This is how George Dyson tells it. Samuel Butler's career was marked by a bitter dispute with Charles Darwin, precipitated by Darwin's failure to adequately credit the work of prior evolution.
Butler's criticism of Darwin's incomplete acknowledgments escalated into a sustained attack on the foundations of Charles Darwinism itself. The ensuing controversy consumed 4 volumes of Butler's writings and 20 years of his life. The forces that Darwin and T.H. Huxley marshaled against their religious critics were directed with the same intensity against Butler and Butler's arguments.
The man Henry Ford's thugs beat bloody in 1937, and who rose up and organized the auto workers knew the lines of assembly. He knew quickening automation. He knew what Mr. Henry Ford wrought. Testifying before the United States Congress in 1957, Walter Reuther called this is our trouble. This is our trouble. This is our trouble.
Our Lord Ford signed the contract. The contract was with the United Automobile Workers of America. 10 years after Henry Ford's promise to recognize the humanity in an assembly line, the United Automobile Workers hired Samuel Guzzardo. Guzzardo's task was to assemble a men and machines curriculum, a syllabus for the labor union's international staff. My novel was not on the Guzzardo reading list, but Samuel Butler's error was.
They will rule us with a rod of iron, but they will not eat us. 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 I fear none of the existing machines. What I fear is the extraordinary rapidity with which they are becoming something very different to what they are at present. No class of beings have in any time past made so rapid a movement forward. Should not that be jealously watched and checked while we can still check it? And is it not necessary for this end to destroy the more advanced of the machines which are in use at present? Some people may say that man's moral influence will suffice to rule them, but I cannot think it will ever be safe to impose much trust in the moral sense of any trust.
Attack on the foundations of Charles Darwinism.
Chronology of Men and Machines. 1957. Push Buttons, People is produced by the UAW Education and Citizenship Department. The department where Samuel Butler's novel, Error, is taught by Samuel Guzzardo. Samuel Guzzardo is my father. Push Buttons, People opens with a disquieting voice.
Machines without human beings. Machines without human beings, that uncanny spectacle is automation. A foreboding, frightening word. A word to send a shudder through a man or a woman or a child.
My grandfather was more than the great man's bulldog. and a one-time referee. He was also an engineer of sorts, one who characterized animals and humans as conscious automata. My mindful forefather had 5 daughters and 3 sons. The patriarch's eldest son was Leonard. Leonard was my father. Leonard remarried after my mother died. My father's last child was Andrew. So Andrew Huxley had 6 children. His last was Claire. Claire's last was named after my father, Leonard.
Chronology of Leonard's sons.
2007. The son of the Samuel, who chose Samuel Butler over me, makes a video. In the son's moving picture, there is a child in parlor and a portrait on a wall. The child is Leonard Holmes Huxley. The child taps away at a handheld game console. On the wall, a patriarch in a portrait looks on. The rhythmic drumming sounds of my little nephew's fingers are not so unlike those other little throbbing, pounding ones. Throbbing, pounding ones.
Inside is a magazine room.
Throbbing, pounding ones.
There are reasons to hope that the machine will use us kindly, for their existence will be in a great measure dependent upon ours. They will rule us with a rod of iron, but they will not eat us. They will not only require our services in the reproduction and education of their young, but also in waiting upon them as servants, in gathering food for them and feeding them, in restoring them to health when they are sick, and in either burying their dead or working up their deceased members into new forms of mechanical existence.